Okay, good evening and welcome to the UCD Quinn School of Business virtual open evening. We are being joined by a number of participants right now, so we'll just give it another couple of seconds before we start this session. And just to remind you all, this session is being recorded and will be available on the UCD Quinn website in the coming days. So thank you so very much for attending, and we'll just give it another couple of seconds before we get started. Thank you. Okay, so again, welcome and thank you very much for attending this evening. My name is Aoife Doherty and I am the Director of the School Offices in the Quinn School of Business. And I'm happy to moderate this panel this evening, introducing you to a couple of important colleagues across the school who help and guide your studies throughout the degree programs in the Quinn School of Business. Joining us this afternoon, we have Dr. Julie Byrne. Julie is a lecturer in finance and she is also the academic director for the Bachelor of Commerce program. We're also joined by Dr. Eamon Ambrose. Eamon is a lecturer in management subject area within the school and is the director of the Commerce International program. We're also welcoming a student and a recent graduate. Kate Danaher is taking time for her BComm studies this evening to join us and talk about her experience. Kate has been on internship and also on exchange, so might be able to share some observations there. And we would like to extend a warm welcome back to Micheál Markey, who is a graduate from the Commerce International program, having graduated with BComm International in German in September of this year. And Micheál has just returned from Vienna to take up a post in HubSpot, so we'll be able to tell us a little bit more about that. And also joining us are two very important people who guide and help the studies within the Quinn School. Niall Hayes, who is the Bachelor of Commerce Program Manager, and Laura Bergette, who is the Commerce International Program Manager. So welcome everybody. Thank you all very much for joining us this evening. So just to explain how we're going to run this session, we have 45 minutes or so, and we want to make it as informal and give you the opportunity to ask any questions that you have throughout the session. You'll see a question and answer button at the bottom. Please pop in any questions and hopefully we'll get the opportunity to respond to them throughout the session. We're going to start, just to warm things up, with a little introduction to the program from Julie and from Eamon. Hopefully you will have had the opportunity when you log into the Quinn website to take a look at the resources that are there, including a number of videos outlining the programs, the opportunities, and some highlighting the student point of view as well. So hopefully you'll have had the chance to look at that. If not now, then definitely after the session. But right now I'm going to begin and I'm going to hand over to Julie to do a quick introduction and a recap to the Bachelor of Commerce. So Julie, I'm going to hand over to you now. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Aoife. Thank you everybody for joining. Like Aoife said, I'm the academic director of the Bachelor of Commerce program. So I'm assuming if you're all joining this session that you all have some interest in business. And I'll just give you a quick overview of our main business program, the Bachelor of Commerce. So the Bachelor of Commerce is kind of a general business degree. And it's a 3-year course, but there is an opportunity to make it into a 4-year program if you wish to undertake the intern opportunity between stage 2 and stage 4. And in the first year of the program, you get a general introduction into all aspects of business. So you learn the foundations for things like management, for accounting, for economics, business law. And also you learn a little bit of mathematics in first year, and the maths that you learn in first year is to equip you with the skills that you might need going forward for modules you'll take later on. So the first year is a general foundation of all the different areas of business. Then in year 2, you'll move on and you'll build on the knowledge that you learned in first year. So you refine your knowledge a little bit, and you're also introduced to another couple of business disciplines. So you'll be introduced to finance and to marketing in second year. And in stage 2 of, or in trimester 2 of second year, you also have the opportunity, if you wish, to study abroad with one of our exchange partners. So we have exchange partners in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Asia and Europe. And quite a few of the students decide that they would like to spend a trimester abroad. And they generally, as Kate will tell you later, because she's experienced, usually enhances the learning experience because you get to integrate and meet new people, and you get to integrate with new cultures, which is very important for business because business is an international concept. So Ireland being a very small, open economy, we have to reach out and know what's going on around the world, not just in Ireland. So then for students who wish to undertake the intern opportunity, that takes place after your second year and before your final year. Again, Kate has spent a year on internship, so she'll tell you a little bit more in a second. And the idea behind the internship is that you get to experience what it's like to work in the real world. So apply the knowledge that you've learned in the first 2 years of your degree program into what it's like in the real world. And it's a really good idea if you wish to undertake it, to do it. And the reason for that is oftentimes people going into a business degree have a clear idea of where they want to end up. So some of you thinking of undertaking the commerce program might think you want to become accountants. So you might then undertake an internship in one of the accounting firms. And for the most part, students come out after the internship agreeing it was an excellent experience, and a lot of them confirm that they do want to be accountants. But some of them, they realize that maybe that's not actually the area of business they'd like to be in. So everything is a learning experience, no matter what the outcome is. So the internship program tends to be very popular, and the students really enjoy doing it. And then when you come back into your final year, that's where you have a lot of choice. So you can decide to keep it a general degree, and you can choose some modules across all the different business discipline again. Or if you really, really liked something like finance, which you will, because I teach finance, so you're all going to love it. You might decide you want to specialize in finance, so you can pick lots of finance modules. Others would maybe love marketing, and they might decide to specialize in marketing. You can tailor your final year depending on what you liked and depending on what you decide to do moving forward. So that's basically a really brief synopsis. There are loads of opportunities throughout the years. We also have a mentorship program where we match undergraduate students on with some of our alumni, and they kind of help guide students through the process. So that's just in a nutshell what the commerce program is about. And I'm going to call on Kate now. Kate is currently in her final year in UCD, and Kate, you might be able to chip in a few from a student's perspective.
Yeah, of course. Hi everyone, my name is Kate. I'm in my final year of commerce, and basically just touch on more of what Julie said. The reason I love commerce so much and why I have enjoyed all my time here at UCD is because it just provides some fantastic opportunities that not all courses do offer you. So as you said, I spent a semester abroad. I studied in Brisbane in Australia for 5 months, and it was such a unique opportunity. Not only did I get to meet people from, the other side of the world, I also got to look at business in a much more different perspective in terms of, how Australia does business with New Zealand and China, whereas when we focus on kind of Irish business, we often look at, the UK and America. So it was just really interesting to get that kind of firsthand experience on a different outlook in business. Along with that, I also spent 9 months doing an internship with KPMG. So I was one of those people that thought that I would like to be an accountant. And I know a lot of people can't believe that people actually want to do that. But I did do an accounting internship in KPMG, and I absolutely loved it. It just confirmed for me that this is kind of the path that I want to go down when I graduate. But I do have friends in my course who did an internship in different kind of areas in business. Some of them did HR internships, finance internships, and then decided, this actually isn't for me. And I never would have known that if I hadn't done the internship year. So as I said, commerce is just a fantastic course. You get to try all these different things. There really is no compromise as there can be in some other courses. You know, there is no, you have to choose an Erasmus or an internship. With commerce, you can do both. So I think that's a really unique factor at commerce here in UCD.
Super. Many thanks, Kate and Julie. And I'm sure we'll have lots of questions coming in from the students that are joining us this evening. But right now we're going to move on to Commerce International to get that overview. And we'll introduce again Dr. Eamon Ambrose, and Micheál Markey might join us at the end as well. Thanks so much. And over to you, Eamon.
Thanks, Aoife. So Bachelor of Commerce International. So why would we choose that? Well, as Julie mentioned earlier, really all business is international. In fact, you'd be hard pressed to find any business or any company that doesn't have some dealings overseas, either importing raw materials or exporting finished goods, or dealing in some way in terms of international information transfer. So the BComm International is really about focusing on that global perspective. And it's a 4-year degree program. So what we've done here is we've said, right, we need to cover all the main BComm subjects. So the core business subjects that you do in the BComm, you also do that in the BComm International. But on top of that, we have this significant element of cultural, linguistic, and literary knowledge. So one thing the BComm International is not, it is not just simply a BComm with a bit of language learning going with it. What we look at is the fact that in business, dealing with people and interacting with people is a key part of any area of business. And to understand people, you have to understand their background, their culture, not just the language. We share a language with the UK and with America, but I think we'd all agree that you would not want to really just put us all in the same basket and treat us as the same kind of people. People are very, very different, and the way they do business is very, very different as a result. So essentially, over the 4 years, 2/3 of your time is spent studying business, but 1/3 of your time, a full 1/3 of the time, is spent on the cultural and language side of things. And that means that you're studying not just advanced language skills so that you can speak in the language and you could do business and go to meetings and interact in that language, but also that you understand the culture, you understand the literature, the history, the background of the country of your choice. And that's really important for these personal relationships, because we see this always, and in fact, we're finding it even more so now with COVID and the fact that we're all having to connect online, is that really understanding the perspective of the people you're dealing with is core to business. So we offer a choice of cultural language specializations: French, Spanish, German, and Italian from a European perspective, or Chinese. And as I say, over the 4 years, you're doing essentially a full commerce degree with all the basic commerce requirements, but also focusing on studying that specialized language. The way it's set up with the CAO is that you choose 2 languages initially. So you get to choose, say, French and Spanish, but at the end of the first term, about 3 months into the program, you get to choose which of those you want to specialize in. So we keep it open so that there's some flexibility there. The key element of this program, and I suppose the pinnacle of it, is the year abroad. So in year 3, you have a full year exchange. So it's not one term as it is with most of the Erasmus arrangements, but it's a full year abroad. And the key difference here is that you're studying business, but you're studying through your chosen language. And that means that we have students studying business through French, business through Spanish, business through German, and so on. And that really makes a significant difference, because if you spend a full year abroad, you really do go native, as we say. You have to really settle into the country. You're studying and you're working alongside students who are domestic students there. So you're really totally integrated into the student life and the full life of that country. And that year really is key to the whole experience of the BComm International. You then return in your 4th year and you continue with the business subjects. So on top of the language culture side of things, you also have that opportunity to specialize on the business side. So as Julie was saying before, if you're particularly interested in marketing or human resources or innovation, particularly in your final year, in that 4th year, you get to choose those specialist business subjects as well. So what we're looking at here really is a different degree, because it has this unique combination of the business knowledge and a truly multicultural experience. As I say, not just doing a bit of language learning, but actually really getting under the skin of other cultures. And this is really attractive to employers because most businesses have a lot of international or multinational activity. And it's not really just about, say, for example, if you study Spanish, it's not just that I've studied Spanish and therefore I can go work in Spain. The key thing here is that by learning and understanding about cultural differences, you can go and study and work anywhere, Eastern Europe, South America, wherever it may be. And that's really attractive because, as I say, businesses are multinational and international in all the things they do, and they really need to have people who can fully understand that environment. So that's essentially what the BComm International is about. It is a 4-year program. The year abroad is compulsory and guaranteed. So it's not a case of having to compete for it or anything. Everyone on the program will do that year abroad. And that's really core to the whole experience. So maybe Michal will tell you a little bit about the experience from the student side of things, from his experience of studying and working in Germany. Michal, over to you.
Thanks, Eamon. Hello, everybody. Yeah, as Eamon just said, I'm just finished the program. I graduated there in September. So fresh off, I have a very fresh perspective on the whole thing. I really, really enjoyed the program. To put myself in your shoes, when I was in school, I loved German and accounting. They were definitely my 2 favorite subjects. And I kind of knew that although I wanted to 100% study German at 3rd level, I didn't know if I wanted to just limit myself to just accounting. So this was the perfect course for me. It was a wide variety of business subjects along with German, so it suited me down to the ground. And as Eamon said, your first 2 years of your degree, it's spent 2/3 of the time studying a variety of business modules. You have your marketing, your economics, your human resources, accounting, as well as then studying the German language and culture separately. But the big highlight then is when you get to your 3rd year. And it is exactly as it sounds. You're sitting in a big lecture theatre, whether you're studying in Germany, France, Italy, Spain, China, you're sitting in a lecture theatre with other German students. You know, the lecture is through German. You're going to be sitting the exact same exam that your German classmates are taking at the end of the semester. And I remember on my first day of the program, like croaking at the idea of that was only 2 years down the line. But honestly, come your 3rd year, you're more than capable of keeping up. And it's a really, really great year. It's not only just for your language skills, but your whole confidence in speaking the language, your confidence in yourself as a person. You're really thrown outside of your comfort zone, which is something that employers definitely appreciate afterwards. I'm on the other side of the program now, and I suppose I only kind of appreciate that whole multicultural aspect of the course now. I interned at the United Nations in Vienna over the summer, and they were looking for people who had spent some time abroad, who were able to communicate with people from different cultures, who had spent an extensive period putting themselves outside of their comfort zone and challenging themselves. Likewise, I work now for a marketing tech company called HubSpot, and there isn't a day that goes by where I'm not working with colleagues from Singapore or from Tokyo or from the US. And that kind of multicultural adaptivity that you learn on your year abroad is something that employers can see. It's so transferable. It's something that you will take with you forever. So it really is the pinnacle of the year, and it's not all stress. It's all very, very fun, and it's a lot of it's a lot to have a lot of great memories because of it too. But yeah, the program it's excellent. If people are interested in business and are interested in languages, it's fantastic, and I definitely would recommend it.
Super. Thank you so much, Michal and Eamon. What a great overview and such enthusiasm. What I think we might do now is get rid of the slides and bring us back up so we can see the panel. So there is everybody hopefully appearing on screen for you right now. We might start and jump into some of the questions. I'm just conscious that we only have another 25 minutes or so. So I might just start with some of the common questions that we get asked all the time. And Eamon, you really touched on this in your overview, the main differences between Commerce International and the BComm. So would you mind just doing a quick recap on that again? What are the main differences between those two programs?
Yes, Aoife, yeah, and I think I'd go further and say I think it's important to understand the difference between the BComm International and maybe other international or global business type degrees, because there are a number of degrees out there where you can do commerce with a language, but we really take that significant step further. So what we're looking at is by integrating with what we would essentially call a minor degree in a language, you're gaining a much deeper understanding of the culture and the differences that occur. And really that is the significant difference. It means it's going to be a 4-year degree, but there is that unique element to things that you have that extra learning and that combination of the multicultural skills with the language skills.
Super. Thanks so much, Eamon. Julie, I'm going to ask you another common question that we get asked many times by students interested in the programme, and this is in relation to the level of maths that's required to engage with business studies at undergraduate level in UCD. Julie, what do you say? I mean, we have an O2 ordinary level and a H6 is the maths requirement. Would you agree that that's enough and sufficient for people to engage with all the quantitative elements of the programme?
Yeah, so people need not to be scared of numbers for a start. And second of all, there are some quantitative elements. So there are some quantitative modules. So some of your finance modules and some of the management information systems modules will have quantitative aspects to them. But in first year, so some of you will be studying maths for your leaving cert, and you'll be studying all different types of maths. So you'll do some statistics, some financial maths, you'll be doing trigonometry, all those various things. You don't need intimate knowledge of all of those. So in stage 1 in first year, we teach you the math skills that you will require for modules later on. And like I think we got to when we were giving the overview, in final year, you have the opportunity to specialize. So if you really didn't, particularly enjoy all those quantitative modules, you can avoid them. So there's no question you can't avoid numbers entirely, but we equip you with the math skills you need. And I always say to students, particularly those who are less favorably inclined towards maths, don't be afraid of numbers at all. It's just like another language. And we do equip you with the skills that you need. So there are numbers, but you can avoid some of them.
Super. Thanks a million, Julie. I think we might jump in now. I can see lots of questions coming in, so I'm going to scroll through these as best I can. And I think, Eamon, back to you again. We have a question coming in from a participant in relation to how does it work with the 2 languages that you select in first year of Commerce International? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so for the main part of the program, for basically 3.5 years, you're only going to be studying one language and one culture. But what we decided a number of years ago was to keep the opportunities open there. So rather than demanding that you commit to one language at the very beginning and stick with that, we have this structure where you choose 2 languages. And you can choose new languages. So we do recommend that one of the languages is one that you're familiar with already, maybe from the Leaving Cert. But all of the languages are set up at a level where you can come in as a beginner. You can't do that with French. It's just one particular quirk of the structure in UCD. But for any of the other languages, you can come as a beginner and you can take that language from the very start. Then at 3 months in, at the end of the first term, you make a choice as to which of the 2 selected languages you're going to focus on. And the reality is, in fact, for most of the students who do Chinese, that is a new language to them. So it's a language they only started learning in September. And the following January, they have committed to focusing on that language for their full program. So there's no problem with coming in new. Studying 2 brand new languages in the first term is challenging, certainly, but again, it's only for the 1 term. The other thing that's worth saying as well is a lot of students will actually continue the second language. So they'll focus on a language for the core of the program, but because of the electives that we have throughout the program, there is the opportunity to study your second language, or even indeed we have students who've taken on a 3rd language over the years as well. So if you're really keen on multilingual side of things, there's plenty of opportunities for that too.
Super. Thanks so much, Eamon. I'm looking at some of the questions coming in, and I can see a couple of participants are asking about the points and the entry requirements. So just to recap, and this information is up on the website already, the points this year for entry for the BComm were 521. Commerce International 517, and both require the H6 or the O2 in maths. So hopefully that will answer that question. I can see another very popular question that's coming in is in relation to accounting, Julie and Kate, and the BComm program. So we're getting some questions in relation to Cap 1 exemptions and the modules that you follow through the BComm. Kate, would you be comfortable explaining a little bit about that and the modules that you followed throughout your program?
Yeah, of course. I am doing my Cap 1 exemptions this year in my final year because, as I said, I did an accounting internship and I decided that is the route that I would like to go down. So UCD BComm do allow you get all of your Cap 1 exemptions. So this just means when you're sitting, your Cap 2 and your FAE exams, that you won't have to sit the next exam after you leave the Cap 1 exams when you leave college. So it just kind of takes that stress off when you're in the workplace, sitting exams as well as working. So for me, it was a no-brainer that I was going to do them. So the modules that I would follow through, I picked, I'm more of an accounting based person, so I would go for the more numerical modules. But sometimes I also like to, throw in the odd marketing one just to kind of make sure that my business kind of degree was more well-rounded than just numbers. So it is possible if you do want to do accounting and you do want to do the Cap 1s, that won't be the only thing you ever do in commerce in your final year. You do have some core modules that are based around, entrepreneurship, the core modules based on HR. So it is, while you are specializing, you still do get to try some other elements of business as well.
Super. Many thanks, Kate. I can see another question coming in here, and it is from a student asking, do the BComm and Commerce International students attend the same lectures? So Micheál, maybe you might be able to take that one.
Yeah, absolutely, Aoife. Yeah, so for the most part, we do sit a lot of lectures together. We sit the majority of our commerce modules together. Myself and Kate would have sat many of the same accounting lectures, economics lectures, finance lectures. Obviously, when we're doing our German or our Spanish, Italian, Chinese, we're taught separately away from the BComm students. But for the majority of business modules, we're mixed in with BComs, we're mixed in with some of the business and law students and some of the economics and finance students as well. So it's a nice mix.
So it is. It's not just one cohort. You're intermingled with students from different programs, and sometimes elective students from outside the program might be joining the modules. And electives are something which are particular to the degrees in UCD. And within our structure, we allow students to select 1 or 2 per year, a module outside the program. So you could have an interest in law, you could have an interest in psychology or in philosophy, and you can pick modules outside your course content. So Micheál and Kate, have you picked any interesting electives throughout your time of study with us in the Quinn School?
Well, I know in my first year, I decided that I'd pick a module outside of business just because I wanted to make sure I got to see as much of UCD as I could when I started. So I did an elective in global justice, and I was with absolutely no one from my course, but it was great because I got to meet some really nice people that I probably never would have met if I hadn't branched out of the business school. And it was a very interesting elective. I definitely would recommend, maybe trying one elective, maybe that's outside of your school, just to see if you would like that. There's some fabulous electives that are offered throughout UCD, so would definitely recommend that.
Great, many thanks, Kate. Micheál, what did you pick over your 4 years?
Similar, guys. I kind of went down more of the social justice equality route for most of my electives. I took modules in gender studies, in sustainable development goals, in business and poverty, variety of different modules from around UCD. As Kate said, it's a nice thing just to open your mind a little bit, because we have so much business, as well as we have so much language learning as well. So it's nice to have that one extra class a week that's completely different to everything else you're studying. And I really, really enjoyed it. I think it's such a fantastic highlight of the program, and it's really, really understated as well.
Thanks so much, Micheál. And Niall, I might bring you in here as the manager of the BComm program. You've seen students pick electives from different areas as well. Is there anything that you've noted over the last couple of years?
Yeah, so there's lots of different types that are popular. Say food, diet and health from the School of Agriculture and Food Science is a very popular module with students. They have 3 in that specific area, and usually students do at least one of them. Languages obviously are very popular, particularly for commerce, because they don't have the language element built into the course, so they can do up to 25 credits in a language that they're interested in, and they can also do what's called a structured elective in that. There's other areas. I mean, there's history, there's social justice, as the guys have said, there's law. Other ones that would be popular would be from the Innovation Academy. So they offer, I think they've 5 or 6 different modules each year, and they run in a block period of time. And commerce students in particular, business students, really seem to enjoy them because I suppose they look at entrepreneurship and other elements, but you're also working with students from different areas, and it's from all over the campus. So it's a great way of meeting people, and also a very different type of learning than you would experience within Quinn.
Great, many thanks, Niall. And yes, the Innovation Academy is a centre within UCD which looks at entrepreneurship and design thinking. And I see we have a question there from somebody asking whether we have any modules on design thinking within the course. And Julie, I think we have one, we have an option, I think, in second year on design thinking.
Yeah, we do. So in second year is the first time that you will get within course optional module, and yes, there is one on design thinking there. So we've got some very interesting new modules as well. So we also have one of the options within the business program is relation to media and how media and social media influence business and vice versa. So that's a pretty popular second year choice as well for students. So yeah, we have that available too.
Thanks, Julie. I see a common question that's coming in. Does it matter if you haven't studied any business for the Leaving Cert?
So I'll answer that. The answer to that is actually no. So we have quite a few students who haven't taken any business at all in their Leaving Cert year, and they do. So in first year, the first time they see accounting, that might be a little bit more work for them than the other students. But students who haven't taken business for their Leaving Cert aren't at any disadvantage overall for the program, perform just as well as those who have the full suite of the business subjects.
Perfect. Many thanks, Julie. And I can see there is a growing interest in internships, and people are asking, are internships guaranteed? So I'll just say a little bit about the way the internship program works in the Quinn School. And I'll remind everybody that we have another session at 6 o'clock, which is particularly focused on internships, exchange, and the mentoring program. So if you want to jump out of this and jump into the next one at 6 o'clock, please go ahead. But just to summarize, the internship is available on the Bachelor of Commerce and the Economics and Finance program. It is competitive. Students apply for internship. They can apply for up to 5 opportunities, and then they are called for interview. If they're successful at interview, they can be offered a placement, or it may be the case that they don't get an offer at that point in time. If they're not successful, they can try and self-source an internship and have it approved by the school, ready to go for September. The internship runs from September to May. And Kate, I'm not sure, is there anything else you'd like to add on that in terms of the internship and the application process?
Yeah, no, of course. So it is quite a competitive process. Getting that real world experience before kind of applying for graduate programs is invaluable. So the majority of the commerce course looks to do an internship. So I was actually on my exchange while the internship applications and interviews were taking place. So because I was in Australia, I was doing my interviews over Skype at about 8 p.m. for me, but some people had to go in, if you chose not to do an exchange, go in person in a suit, into the buildings. But it was just very different for me because I was just in my apartment in Australia doing them. But it's all the same. People love to hear, that you're away and you're doing something. So if you do want to do an internship, doing an exchange is almost you're helping yourself because it's such a talking point. But yeah, so you can apply to up to 5 internship firms, cover letter, CV, and then you hear back whether you get an internship or an interview, and then you hear whether you're successful or not. And if you're not successful, there is a second round, I'm pretty sure, for people that get multiple offers, and they can decide just between one, obviously, and then there's a second round. So you might be successful in the second round or self-source. Yeah.
Super. Thanks so much, Kate. I'm going to move back to Eamon at this point in time. Eamon, if that's okay. I can see a question coming in from somebody saying, in particular, they again want you to recap on what the difference is between Commerce International and the BComm. They really want to understand before they make their choice for CAO on the 1st of February.
Okay, well, I suppose that the simplest way to state it would be that the BComm International is a BComm plus the additional. So everything that you can do within the BComm in terms of the basic subjects, in terms of the specializations in marketing and finance and so on, all of that is available through the BComm International. Because we built in the fourth year, we have time to do that. So there is a challenge in studying both the business and the language, but over the course of the 4 years, you can still do all the BComm basics and essentially come up with the same set of learning that a BComm student would, but you also have the language side on top as well. The choices are a little bit more restricted. So for example, we can't guarantee Cap 1 exemptions if you do the BComm International. The modules are available to you, but the thing is, in terms of timetabling, there may be an issue there. So because you're doing some BComm core modules and you're doing some language core modules, possibly there's a chance that you mightn't be able to take all the electives or the options that you want. But the choices generally are available to you. And it's because we have the 4-year program that gives us the space to be able to do the additional language study as well as doing the full suite of BComm subjects. And as Michal said, you're in the same class most of the time. In fact, the only time you're not in class with BComm is we have some subjects where we've set up specifically an international version. So there's an international marketing, there's international supply chains. There's a number of modules where we've made it specifically just for the BComm International students. But by and large, the vast majority of your business studies will be sitting in class with other BComm students.
Super. Many thanks, Damon. Hopefully that answered the question that was sent in there. I can see a couple of questions coming in relation to entry and transfer and different entry routes. I might direct you into the My UCD website. So myucd.ie provides clear guidance on transfer routes. So from FETAC QQI programs, transferring from another degree program internally from UCD or externally from another university. So I'd ask you maybe to jump in there and take a look and see, does that answer your question? If not, perhaps you could join us for the 7 o'clock Ask Us Anything question and we will get to them there. Michal and Kate, again, there's a lot of interest in your feedback, and in particular there's a question coming up going, could you let us know why in particular you chose these programs within UCD? So what drew you to the BComm and Commerce International program? Michal?
Yeah, so just in school, German and accounting are my favorite subjects. So I was kind of looking for a business and German degree. So I was looking at different universities, you know, in Dublin, across the country. But I remember coming to the UCD Open Day itself, and I think I was just kind of blown away by UCD. It's this leafy green campus, you know, it's just 5 kilometers outside the city. And I remember walking into the Quinn school for the first time. It was so bright, big, modern. I was just kind of blown away. And I knew then that this was the place I wanted to study at. And just, I suppose I came in, for those wondering about maths, like I was always kind of worried would my maths level be okay coming into the program. And UCD had so many different supports available within the Quinn school, but then was always like, there's also a math support center offered by the library building, which is essentially like a free tutoring service. You can go in, and if you're having difficulties with anything in the program, you can go in. They may be able to help you able to offer some more insight on what you may be doing wrong with your assignments or whatever. So I just felt there's a lot of resources available, a lot of support available, and yeah, just a beautiful campus too.
Thanks so much, Michal. Kate, anything you'd like to add?
Well, yeah, I just like to say, I know when you're looking at business courses, there can just be so many, and it seems like trying to decipher between, you know, all the courses on offer can be just really difficult. Like, what is the difference between, you know, doing commerce at UCD, doing business in Trinity, doing business in DCU, doing business in NUIG? It can be overwhelming trying to find, you know, what is the thing that stands out. But for me, for commerce, it was the fact that you can try everything in your first year. You know, there is no stream. You don't go in, you're not kind of just doing a certain part of business. You do get to try it all. You don't have to compromise between doing an Erasmus and an internship. That was a big selling point for me, because I knew I wanted to go away, and I knew I wanted to have the opportunity to maybe do an internship as well. I wasn't 100% sure when I was 18 what I would want to do when I was in my 3rd year, but just to have that option there was fantastic. And also the fact that in your final year, you can actually pick your modules, as opposed to, I know some business courses, you go into streams where your modules are picked for you. in your final year in commerce, you can, pick to do, you don't have to specialize in anything. You can pick to do modules from all over if you still like kind of the whole rounded business thing. So just those elements was what kind of differentiated commerce for me from, every other business degree available there is in Ireland.
Super. Many thanks, Kate. I can see questions coming in relation to the workload. I'm not sure who'd like to take that one, or maybe just explain a little bit about how many modules students study and how many hours of interaction time, class time and study we would expect. Eamon or Julie, maybe?
Okay, I'm happy to jump in. So each trimester, so there are 2 trimesters, and each trimester you undertake 6 modules. Ordinarily, there are 2 lecture hours per week per module. And oftentimes, particularly with the quantitative modules, you'll also have a tutorial on top of that, because sometimes the classes are quite large and the tutorials are much smaller, so that you can ask questions and work together in smaller groups. So generally you should treat your degree like it's a full-time job. So it's not like school where you're in from and have class all the way up through. You will have some breaks in between. There'll always be something to do. So we have group work. So oftentimes you'll meet up with your group. There'll be individual work or readings to do. So you probably have about 20 contact hours a week, and we would expect the same again in terms of working independently too. Okay.
That's a good capture, and that structure is the same for all programs. 6 modules in the first trimester and 6 in the second. 5 generally are core and 1 is a free elective choice. So many thanks, Julie, for the recap on that. So for Laura and Eamon, I can see questions coming in and students are asking, are there internship opportunities on the Bachelor of Commerce International program? Eamon, Laura?
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not really in a position to offer that, because in order to do the language and business at the same time, the program is quite full. So it's already a 4-year program, and within that, there isn't the freedom for the internship. So it would be a case that you get the exchange, and in fact, you get it for like a double exchange because you're doing a full year abroad. But we do have a situation where some students would do a small internship, maybe even when abroad. So during the summer holidays, there are opportunities for that, but not to the same extent that's structurally built into the BComm program.
Yeah, many thanks, Eamon. So structurally not part of it, but as Micheál mentioned there, you were on internship in the UN during the summer. So I think it's fair to say that many students take the opportunity to avail of internships either domestically or abroad throughout the 4 years of the Commerce International. I'm seeing there's still a few more questions coming in, and I'm aware that we're going to run out of time shortly. One student has asked, do we think the points are going to come down next year? So I'm not sure if anybody would be comfortable speculating. The one thing I think we say when we're asked this question every year is that the points are driven by students and by the demand for the places. So if demand is high, then potentially the points can go up. We really do not know what to expect. And while we're here together, we would say we wish you every luck with the study ahead, the mocks that will be coming up shortly, and your exams hopefully in June. But in terms of points, I'm sorry, I don't think anybody would be comfortable being a Mystic Meg and speculating on that one right now. So
can I just jump in there, Aoife, and just to say, my best advice when you're making a decision about what course to choose is choose the one you will think that you will like the best. Don't worry about points or anything, and fill up that CAO form all the way down. And it shouldn't be dictated by points. Choose what you think you like the best, and that's the best action that you can take.
Absolutely, 100% would agree. And just some points of clarification. People are asking what CAP means. So CAP is related to the accounting exemptions associated with the Chartered Accountants Ireland. So if you want to become an accountant, your degree does not necessarily confer the status of accountant on you. You have to go and take professional exams afterwards. So once you complete your degree, if you follow the accounting modules, you can be exempt for the first year of exams and study for the professional accountancy qualification qualification, you will have 2 further years to study before you can become an accountant. So that's what CAP refers to. And when we mention Erasmus and exchange, Erasmus is an exchange within Europe. An exchange can be broader than just Europe. It can be North America, Australia, New Zealand, or Asia. So China, Hong Kong, Singapore. So that's just to explain the terms that we're using there. So apologies if we're confusing you. Now, I'm sorry, but we are running out of time right now. If we didn't get to your question, please take a look at the website, take a look at My UCD for any transfer or admission questions. And then again, we'll run another session at 7 o'clock with an Ask Us Anything. So hopefully you might join us for that. Starting at 6 o'clock, we have a session on the Economics and Finance program, and also one run by my colleagues on the internship, exchange and mentoring programs and opportunities throughout the degrees in UCD. So before we finish up, I'd like to thank everybody sincerely for joining us this evening. This is not the way we would normally do our business. Normally we would have you within the Quinn School, and we'd be delighted to show you around our facilities and show you the Moore Centre for Learning within the School of Business. But times are as they are, so we are going virtual for this iteration. But thank you so much for joining us, and thank you sincerely to all our panel members for joining us, and particularly for Kate for taking time out from her studies on her first day back for the spring trimester. So I wish you every success ahead with your studies, and hopefully we will look forward to welcoming you in person to the Quinn School in September. So thank you all so very much. Take care. Goodbye for now.
Thank you very much. Bye now.